The timing of this video has aged poorly because I'm well aware that the Oklahoma lawmakers are trying to make it official for animal control to put down the furries, which is the funniest thing I've ever heard. That entire news report alone is enough to make a whole shtick for a new South Park episode. I'm going to stutter a lot because, to be fair, English wasn't my first language and school wasn't my first subject. The list of topics I'm going to be talking about in this video are going to be shown on the screen. If you don't feel comfortable or you're not mature enough to handle these topics in the video, I suggest you leave because you're only getting one and only one warning. I've been wanting to make a video about this for 2 years to let out of my chest, and I feel like 2 years is enough to think about it to make a video about this. To give you a disclaimer, I didn't make this video for you guys. I only made this for myself. This video really isn't an expose. This is more of a video that I want to let out of my chest and to make a video about to elaborate further. With all that being said, let's begin. The question that furries always ask, why do people hate furries, is a constant question that's mostly asked in the group of furries and including non-furries that don't have an issue with furries. What I'm going to be talking about is my personal experience, my criticisms, my opinions, and my overall thoughts when I finished the video talking about it. When I first discovered the furry community, it was around February, I think, February 4th. And when I watched one of the Click's videos, which was a video that my little brother was watching, he was watching a video of this YouTuber called The Click. He makes videos talking about r/this, r/that, and then he was watching this video called Yiffing in Hell, r/Yiffing in Hell. So my morbid curiosity, which I'll get into that later in the video, started watching this video, and I started to watch the same videos that he's been making over and over and over. And then I saw this compilation of videos that he's made called r/Furry IRL, which are the posts in the subreddit for the furries. I've been watching those videos constantly over and over and over to the point where YouTube has recommended me to watch this YouTuber who is associated with the furry fandom called Ryo the Protogen. Ryo the Protogen is a furry YouTuber that started to post content not just on YouTube but also on Twitch. He used to have a schedule to stream on Twitch, but now he doesn't, with how consistent he has been to the point where he has to take a mental break to recharge and to post content normally like he usually would. When I went into one of his streams, I said hello like the usual. The next thing I said was, I have nothing against furries. My curiosity came in if I should join the furry fandom. My next step was that I hit the follow button on Ryo the Protogen's Twitch channel, which changed the color purple to gray. Right after I did, I saw my name on the screen, which I have never done that before, where I would follow a Twitch streamer and my username would pop up on the screen. Right after I did that, I was anxious and I was scared and stressed to the point where I said in the chat, I'm so scared right now, and one of them responded saying, you should be. A couple days go by and Ryo the Protogen started posting videos and then made a new Twitch live stream. Right after he made that new Twitch live stream, I made a comment saying, guess who's back, as a reference to Eminem's song. And then Ryo the Protogen responded back saying, Gray is back again. For me being 16, having my name being recognized to a Twitch streamer, it meant a lot to me. So I was on the Twitch chat all spazzing out, gassing him up saying, oh my god, you just said my name. As time went on, I tried to keep this furry thing private until my brothers, my second and my third brother, noticed that I kept watching this YouTuber, Ryo the Protogen. They kept telling me that I was a furry because I kept watching his content constantly, even though I denied it by saying I'm not a furry, I just like watching his content, which is cap. I started watching some other furry content creators. The second furry content creator that came into mind was first Pseudo. No, I think it was Husky. Yeah, Husky. I saw this popped up in my feed where Twitch recommended me to watch these other furry content creators that live stream on Twitch. He was streaming himself playing Beat Saber. As I watched Husky, right after I clicked the follow button, and then he says, WD Gray, thank you for the follow. Now keep in mind, that used to be my old Twitch channel, but I now have a new Twitch channel. Right after I hit the follow button on Husky's Twitch channel, and right after he said my name, when I followed his Twitch channel, it felt like I made his day. Like I really made his day cheering him up that I followed his Twitch account. Then I started to watch some other furry content creators like Mr. Bubbles, Cinder Kali, Beta Ada Delota, Misha B. Barkin, Sonic Fox, Majira Strawberry, Lemon Cement, Tiger or Tigre, however you say it, Flurifer, Shreddy, Don't Jinx It, Gerald Gonzalez, Sea Salt, Bardic RJ, Clapped Seal, Nova Fluffy Husky, Mikayote, and Garo Shadow Scale. A couple more that I wanted to mention that I forgot to add in the audio for this video, and those are Whiskey Dingo, Fluke Husky, Max Fluffy, Monty the Wolf, Zillion Ross, Shep, legit that's his name, Doryu Z, Snowy VR, Slushy, Fluffy Sasha, and Neon No, including Mars Catfish that I forgot to mention while I was editing this video. So far, those are the only furry content creators that I know that I've either watched their content or I've seen their content mentioned by other content creators that are part of the furry fandom, or that are part of one of the videos from the clique. At around maybe May or June, that's when I became mutuals with my trans friend Blue Wolf. I honestly didn't think I would become mutuals with Blue Wolf. I'm glad that I'm friends with Blue Wolf because she's been having a hard time trying to find acceptance in life now that she has transitioned from boy to girl. I do hope she's doing okay, and I do hope that she's finding a better future for her life. There was a furry game developer that I'm somehow still mutuals with, although we haven't really talked to each other. He was by the name of Clay Husky. He made this game called Winds of Change that somehow has a higher rating on Nintendo Life. Now, Nintendo Life is basically IGN, but for Nintendo games or games that are ported to the Nintendo Switch. The game that Clay Husky made, Winds of Change, has an 8 out of 10 on the Nintendo Life, which is a higher rating than PewDiePie's Nintendo game called Poopdy. And I wish I was joking, but no, that is a real Nintendo game. You can search it up on the eShop. Around June, I was enjoying myself being part of the furry fandom, and I won't lie. I had a fun time being open. I started to post content on my YouTube channel that's in relation to the furry fandom until around July and August, I was having this feeling of regret being in the furry fandom. Reason why is because that I am a degenerate for the sake of wanting to become a talking animal, yet let alone roleplay as a talking animal, be remembered as a person that likes talking animals, and overall, just being weird for the sake of publicity. Which of course it does, it really shouldn't open your eyes because it's 2024. Of course, you see a League of Degenerates like the anime fans, the bronies, and the furries, or degenerates of all three and above, any type really. My mental health being part of furry fandom got so bad that I had this feeling that I was upsetting my ancestors. During that time, my brother found out, my mother found out. When she had a Twitter, she stopped using Twitter because it really wasn't worth her time. Then my cousin found out, my other cousin found out, and some of my subscribers that probably don't watch my content anymore because most of my videos are being put as suggested than my subscribers watching it, also found out. September was the month where I started to have these mental health issues where I wished I would delete my life or start over, use a time machine and not make that mistake. I tried to push that negativity away from me to the point where I started to think that maybe my life isn't worth living anymore, being part of this community. I told my mom when she found out that I was a furry, when I told her, I have a feeling I've upsetted my ancestors for being a furry, she responded with, no, you're not. You're not really doing that. Even though she says that it really doesn't feel like I'm upsetting my ancestors. If you guys didn't know, I'm Native American. It legit felt like I upsetted my ancestors. October was my breaking point because I'm gonna break it down what happened. Every furry was going to this convention called BLFC. Didn't know what the acronym meant. All I know is that it was a furry convention. Every furry content creator was going there for the sake of having a fun time, meeting friends, getting drunk, because that's what adults do. And for some reason, there was this whole trend of furries hating pizza. Now, I thought that this was just a whole publicity stunt to troll people or to troll Italians. When I found this out, I was like, what, do furries hate Italians now? Are they trying to trigger me? I mean, I think pizza tastes pretty good. And then I see the official Twitter account called Midwest Fur Fest talking about some Chicago deep dish pizza. And then I made a reply saying, man, now I'm hungry for some pizza. What I then found out why furries hate pizza was because of this situation that happened, because of this furry called MWolf that did this. What he did was that he bought a pizza. He asked his friends to come around and do this thing that he was planning to do. They took to the bathroom stall. Normally you would think that, oh, it's just a bunch of furries eating pizza in the bathroom to be weird, because that's their thing. Not really. He took the pizza, put it in the bathroom stall. Let's just say that they put a different type of topping that we humans produce to reproduce to expand our population. Once everybody was finished, he closed the lid, put the pizza in the middle of the hallway for someone to take a bite and eat it. Now, I may not be a police officer, I may not be a lawyer, I may not know that much of law, but I think that's a felony. I think that should be a felony. The next thing that happened was even worse. There's now claims of a murder accusation, sexual assault accusations, and the prejudice act of treating the physically impaired or the disabled people unfairly. And this all happened on a Saturday. When I found this out, what I said was that I'm just ready to leave the furry fandom at this point. Reason why I said that is because even though you are part of the furry fandom and you're not associated with the current controversy that's in relation to the furry fandom, you're still involved because you're still in relation to the community. A lot of stuff was not really going good because the furries were basically destroying each other, starting up controversies for no reason. Some of them I couldn't even remember, but I just remember that I was just so angry at being part of this community, which I thought that it could be a new chapter of my life or something new that I can try out later, that it turned out to be a regrettable decision and a reoccurring memory that I'm going to try to forget as I try to live my best life when I'm having a good day. On November 4th of 2021, I left the furry fandom. I didn't do a whole paragraph. I just said it with a complete sentence saying, I don't want to be a furry anymore. Which my little brother was happy, which rightfully so. Reason why my little brother was happy that I stopped becoming a furry was because he used to be a furry. And within that, it wasn't really the best experience because he was having the same thing that I was having because the furries hate each other. They're weird, they're gross. Even though people may be random and they have their own thing of being random, I honestly don't think that being a degenerate is okay at this day and age. I feel like jerking off to a cartoon, regardless, even if it's socially acceptable, it's still not a good rep to be lived on or something to be fond with or to not feel ashamed about. Because you still feel shame after committing the act of looking at a cartoon that looks pretty suggestive that you think maybe you'll meet the cartoon in your dreams. When you wake up in reality, it's just a fantasy, man. Right after I dissociated from the furry fandom, I found it hard to be resistant to not interact with the furry content creators making content on YouTube or making tweets on Twitter, live streaming on Twitch, posting their videos on TikTok. It took a couple months for me to get over it and to start something new in my life. So on May of 2022, which was the next year, right after 2021, I unfollowed and unsubscribed from every furry content creator from YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok just so I could move on from my embarrassing past. 2022 was basically me reliving my mistake of 2021. And unfortunately, I've landed into the addiction of going onto these sites. Shout out to Beta Delota for mentioning it. A couple of sites that I now know are E621, Fur Affinity, and I guess that's it. There's also another website that I now know, thanks to Beta Delota, is Bad Dragon. Now, when you hear Bad Dragon, you're assuming like it's a furry group that sells merchandise and, does rock and roll music. Not really. That website sells toys. Not even toys. Maybe tools for pleasure. And I also found out that one of the voice actors of Beastars, Jonah Scott, was wearing one of the hats of Bad Dragon into a convention where they were interviewing every single one of the voice actors of Beastars. Jonah Scott was the only dude, the only motherfucker wearing that hat with no shame. And thanks to the furries for letting me know what it is, that they sell adult toys to be pleasured by God knows. With all that aside, I couldn't look at that again. Now that I know what those sites are, and I've unfortunately landed on that rabbit hole of what it's like being a furry in the furry fandom, regardless of what social media outlet you use. Since today is 2024, right after the year started, I had a feeling that something bad was going to happen to the furries. My boldest assumption was that the thing about furries being existent on the internet or just being relevant in today's society is gonna die down, but nah, it was the complete opposite. but it was a very switched thing where now we have Oklahoma lawmakers trying to make it official for the animal control to put down the furries, which is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Now that I said all of that, I'm going to be giving you my opinions of how I felt being in the furry fandom. The whole thing about furries that it's all about sex, which is partially true. Regardless if a furry is reviewing memes, playing VR chat, streaming it, playing a furry game, whether it's what? Amoris or what's that game called? Ghost, Sealed, the icky gooey monster with the mask that looks like the black SCP with the fangs and the mask. I forgot what it's called, but I'm gonna put it on the screen. It is partially true that the furries love sex. That's legit their whole shtick. Yeah, the furry fandom may be wholesome. Yeah, the furry fandom may be weird. Yeah, the furry fandom may be horny. But then you got the other side of furries that the furries don't even want to associate with. And those are zoophiles. Zoophiles is a word to describe a person that has erotic thoughts of doing the act to animals, which is the most inhumane thing that anybody can do or commit or admit on social media. Regardless, that really doesn't change my mind of if I ever want to go back to the furry fandom. Sure, there's people in the furry fandom that are ruining it for the furry fandom, for ruining it for the people that are part of the furry fandom, but it's too late. I already made my decision, and let's just be honest. The furry content creators that I follow, or that I subscribe to, or that I DM'd when I was a young lad, they don't know me. They stopped caring about me, but now they do after making this video. It is now the norm that ever since the college dropouts found Lola Bunny attractive in the 1990s film of Space Jam with Michael Jordan in it, apparently that was the source. And then now it has evolved to degenerosity. Sure, you could be open to being a furry. You don't really have to use my opinion as the reason why you left. You could just take this video as a form of criticism of the community and just go on with your day. But if this really strongly impacts you, that's all on you. If furries didn't exist, we would have enjoyed any game that involves with bugs or animals, or any movie with talking animals, or any show that involves with talking animals, or any comic or any fable that has talking animals. And we would go on our day and just not have a disgusted face that furries ruined talking animals for us. For me, being a kid that was raised watching Disney movies like The Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book, Fox and the Hound, Robin Hood, Zootopia, the list goes on. We were all okay with enjoying the films of talking animals and just teaching us about life lessons, and overall enjoying the movie with some very heart-stopping and heart-taking and just enthralling stories about their lives. And then came in the furries when Zootopia came in, because all they did with their imaginations was that they found the bunny and the fox pretty hot, and they made like $1 bajillion making some fan art of those two animals. Even though Zootopia does really bring out a good message, like talking about racism and equality, that just because that you're different from someone, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And also talked about drugs in the most sugar-coated way. They talk about flowers that makes animals go crazy. For example, like cocaine. That makes people go crazy. Another thing I want to talk about the furries is that they're just hypocrites. Sure, they may be self-aware, but self-awareness doesn't sugarcoat the fact that you became something that you wanted to be, and then all of a sudden you hate it. The same exact people that love being a furry, that don't care what people gotta say, and they love the community with all their heart and would never change a thing, are the same exact people that say the exact same opposite. That they regret being a furry, the comments on their TikToks or videos, or the hate rates that they got on Twitch, or the replies they get on Instagram when they post a picture about Fursuit Friday, they will get hurt, and they regret being a furry because they're going onto these sites, and they record to this site called BD, short for Bad Dragon, and then yet, you're still part of the furry fandom, even though you said you were going to leave. You told yourself that you were going to leave the furry fandom. You made a whole video talking about that you're going to leave the furry fandom. You made a whole paragraph, a whole Twitter thread that you're leaving the furry fandom, and you're still there. Now the question is, can you leave from the furry fandom? And the answer is yes. You just have to be resistant. Regardless Even if you have friends in the furry fandom, you can still be mutuals, you can still be friends with them, but you just don't want to be associated with the community anymore. With how much it has destroyed you mentally, just like me, you're probably on the same path just like me. You want to move on. You want to start a new chapter. You want to start a new life. You want to get rid of the past and start anew for the present and the future. You don't want to be known as a person that likes talking animals and has a high interest of talking animals and wants to marry a talking animal, whether it's from a movie, a cartoon, a video game, a comic book, a fable, either one of a piece of media that involves with talking animals. You want to move on, and you can. It's just that you're not letting yourself to do that, and it's damaging you, isn't it? Regardless, even if you say it's not, regardless if you're scared of being different, it's gonna get tiring, and it's gonna be mentally draining. We have to deal with the constant thing. It's a cycle of seeing drama out of anything, literally. I also would like to talk about this thread that this furry content creator Ivy Coom made about SFW, which is short for safer work, furry content creators of doing stuff outside or behind the scenes from the camera. And I feel like that's something to mention and talk about and give my own thoughts about it. Reminder that safer work creators who are adults probably do adult things behind the scenes, and by trying to quote unquote expose that, you're the one being the villain, not the creator. Engaging in adult stuff is totally a normal thing that the most adults do. Even many asexual adults. The reason that many good creators don't flaunt that is because, surprise to many furries, I know, not everyone wants to base their entire personality and public figure around sex. Not everyone is this way either, to be clear. I know several people that are entirely sex repulsed asexuals and aro ace that don't engage in adult content in any capacity. That said, it's not an unusual thing and it's a spectrum. Let people maintain their privacy. And obviously, I am only referring to consensual stuff here where all parties are adults. Don't misconstrue my words, Twitter people. For the sake of me responding and adding on to this, I'm not gonna take your words out of context and flip it because I feel like that's only what people that have a small IQ and people have brain rot would do. What I will say is point taken, but I feel like it's best for safer work furry content creators, which is the rarest form of furry content creator you would find on YouTube. If they want to interact into adult things, I feel like it's best if they do it on a separate account and only the fans of that content creator that are above 18 can look at, just so the fans that haven't even hit 17 yet, that are below 17, would not see. But even if you are safe for work and you do adult stuff behind the scenes, it's best for you to not make that an open thing online and rather keep that privately and not make that a thing to post on your Twitter account, just to not let that become an issue for it to be revolved by your fans or by haters of your content. Also, fuck Railroad. I'm never playing that game again. For example, let's just say that you're a 15 or a 16-year-old furry and you want to become the next Sonic Fox. Sonic Fox is a furry gamer that likes to compete in the fighting game genre of leagues playing fighting games. For example, Dragon Ball FighterZ or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or the newest fighting game that's going to be out this year according to developers called Rivals of Ether 2. Let's say you follow the Twitter account because you feel inspired and you want to be just like him, and then you see a retweet of an artist that he retweeted called Izod, and the art piece looks like this. Of course, you're gonna feel disgusted, you're gonna feel mad, and you really don't know what to do. So you start to go into panic and you start to realize that you have looked at an NSFW art piece being made from a furry content creator that he follows. J. Christ may be your favorite song, but it only had 15 million views on YouTube and it fails to enter Apple Music 200 all genre chart despite the multiple updates and the controversial reveal of hating on Jesus Christ. When I searched up why I left the furry fandom on the Google search bar, this was this post that was posted on Reddit with r/furry hours, and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I'm posting it here because I feel subs like r/off my chest aren't niche enough for this discussion. I know about the furry fandom since I was 13. I was considered joining it, but I wasn't sure. What was initially drawing me to it was that I thought anthropomorphic characters were cool, and frankly, it just looked fun. When I was 17, I gave in a join. I made a lot of friends and had fun sharing my artwork online. I even made a fursuit. It was really a modified Party City costume. For fun, I watched many anthropomorphic shows/movies, Utopia, The Rescuers, Willy Fogg, Redfall, etc. In my free time, you get the point. However, earlier this year, I left the fandom for good. I just didn't feel happiness/comfortable anymore. I should mention that I have either OCD or anxiety. I haven't figured out which yet, So my feelings were basically amplified. Let me explain why. I won't dwell on this for long because we're well aware and tired of hearing it, but I didn't like how over-sexualized the fandom was. I usually distance myself from it, but it seemed too prevalent to be truthful. I've been in and out of many fandoms in my life, but none of them had quite a sexual aspect as the furry fandom. Look, I understand that's not the entire fandom, but I didn't like automatically being associated with it. Also, I was bullied and ridiculed, mostly by kids at my high school. They kept calling me a animal fucker and whatnot. A childhood friend of mine truthfully told me that she doesn't like that I should be around animals again. She didn't say it in a mean way. She seemed like she was trying to give me advice. I never said anything that would hint me being a zoophile. Aside from those accusations, I felt that I was part of something that automatically put a big target on my back. Sometimes I would just sit down and think about how much I've screwed up my life. I never considered suicide. I thought about what it would be like if I was never alive. So I obviously left the fandom. I did have fun, but I didn't feel like it was worth it anymore. Since it gave me so much anxiety, I actually feel I'm a happier person now. I don't feel like I'm an outcast anymore. However, I do feel that there's something missing. I've managed to throw away or sell almost every possession of mine that has something to do with the fandom or anthros in general. I have difficulty rewatching those shows and movies I've liked without feeling like I'm doing something wrong. I have completely moved on from being a furry and onto other hobbies. Even though I had many bad memories throughout my experience, I still miss it a little bit, but I feel happy with the path I'm currently going down. I am happy with the fact that he has finally moved on from being associated with the furry fandom, including myself. I remember when I was eating food, when I was done finishing my dinner one time, and I said, man, I'm stuffed. And then my brothers looked at me weird, and then they told me, I don't know if you could say that because you're a furry. Because they use the word stuff for sexual purpose, unfortunately, which is the reason why that the sexual part of the furry fandom is mostly associated with, except for the cutesy wootsy ooh woo oh whoa furry persona. They make these slang words just to make it more associated with the furry fandom and expand it for popular use on the internet. But even no matter how many times you use it, you're gonna look back at it and just look at complete despair and just think about yourself, say something like, man, I really just said this live on camera. I didn't feel any shame. In a nutshell, every Twitter user that you see on Twitter, whether you're associated with the furry fandom or you talked about furries before, in my opinion, they sound like they watched 10 episodes of Skibidi Toilet Brain Rot. Why is it so difficult to talk like a human being? All right, sure, you have your side of being weird, but when you're being promoted to promote something and they see your your Twitter account, they see your YouTube channel, it's gonna be a bad rep. It's going to be a bad reputation to see yourself as a content creator, let alone as an influence to other people that watch your content. And thank God that I stopped being a furry, because I'm going to be honest, if I was still a furry right now at this day and age in 2024, I wouldn't be making this video. I would have been another victim to the male suicide rate, which is unfortunately higher than the female suicide rate. Not to do a little competition because it's pretty scummy and pretty bad. It's scary. And not a lot of people talk about it, to be honest. Mental health is something that's a part of us, and it is important to take a mental health break. And be a part of furry fandom, it really messed up my head and how I view life. It really made me not trust furries, and I'm never going to a furry convention ever, because I found out about this thing that furries do with their suits, and it's called mersuiting. Mersuiting is the slang word that furries use. It's where a furry will use a suit and they will have another partner where they will consent to committing the spicy love, the act of spicy love, where they will start and finish of the spicy love with their suits. And what I found out, thanks to this gimmick account called Unbiased Furry Struggles, this Twitter user responded to a tweet saying, what would your persona smell like? And then he responded with pancakes, waffles, and syrup. Then there was a screenshot to his AD account, and then he made a relatable Twitter post for the furries who are mersuiters. He said something that no matter how many times he put laundry detergent to make it smell better, to make the stench go away, it still stays there in the suits. Then there was another post within the tweet being posted by Unbiased Furry Struggles. The furry made this tweet saying that it stinks like hell. So what indicates to me is that if I go to a furry convention, it's going to smell like hot ass. when I go there. And that led to me to ultimately decide that I'm not going to wear somebody's fursuit. And they gave me the permission that, sure, you can wear the hat or you can wear the gloves. It's gonna stink. It's gonna stink like sweat. It's gonna stink like the genitalia of the sweat from the genitalia. And I don't want to be associated with it. All right. It really ruined my experience. Okay. If I ever become famous, which I never will, and I get partnered or I get paid to go to a furry convention, I'm just going to decline it, double it, pass it to the next person because I'm not going to do it. Even if it's a dare. I don't care I don't care if like what Ludwig, Markiplier, the odd one's out, Jacksepticeye, or freaking Hasanabi is gonna dare me to go to a furry convention because I'm not gonna do it. It mentally destroyed me, and I don't want to get that reoccurring memory to ruin my mood again. It's not really something that I'm proud of, and it's not really something that I really want to make that a living or make that something that I'm known for because I regretted becoming a furry. It's not something that I want to pass it on to the next generation in my family bloodline. This entire video that's gonna take, I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to edit. But since it has taken me 2 years to decide whether or not I should make a video about this and give my overall thoughts about this, of my entire experience, it's a good thing I did. One final note that I wanted to add before I end this video. If I somehow started a controversy or a war that's associated with the furry fandom, that wasn't my intention, okay? You used your reaction of my video to get a lot of clicks for your tweets, for your TikToks, for your Twitch reactions, for your YouTube reactions, or you're talking about it on Instagram. The way you reacted to my video, given my experience with the furry fandom, my criticisms, my opinions. Of course, there was some jokes over there, here and there. That was all up to you. You used your curiosity to watch this video to understand how it felt of why I didn't like the furry fandom. And even though I waited 2 years to make this video, it's a good thing that I let it out. And yeah, it's a good thing that I gave my opinion, and it's a good thing that I got this out of my chest. It's a good thing that I moved on from my past and I started from something new. But I honestly don't think that sending bounties to furries is the response of my hatred towards the community. If anything, that is the last option I ever had. I had to be the biggest madman, all right? I would have to be more of a psychopath than Joker to think about that. I mean, unless if the furry that is sent as a bounty did something so inhumane that is unforgivable, I would see as a reason why they would do that they would have to put them down, put a bounty on it, and put them to jail. But right now, I honestly don't think that's the solution. It's just going to create more of a problem and more of a reason why furries find it hard to exist. But to be fair, you decided to publicly admit yourself that you're a degenerate, and now you hate the fact that you are part of a league of degenerates that are associated online and sexualize anything innocent on Disney, DreamWorks, a video game, a comic book, a fable, or even just a mascot for the upcoming Olympics of 2024. You decided to become part of this community and you hated it. This is all your problem. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to leave or stay. That's all I have for today's video. I feel like I've said enough. And if I started a war, if I somehow convince you to leave the furry fandom, that is not my responsibility as to how you feel like this. With all that being said, that's going to be it. I feel like I've said enough of what I wanted to say, even though I already said that a couple minutes ago. And I will see you all tomorrow. See ya.